You finally decided. You decided to pull the trigger on starting your online community. And I'm so excited for you. This is perfect for you, but you're stuck. You're trying to figure out, how do I design this thing? What is actually going to happen when people sign up for my online mentorship? Are they going to get weekly coaching calls from me? Am I going to give them a weekly lesson? Am I going to have other speakers come in and speak? Am I going to do it every other week? Like, oh my goodness, the decisions are endless. Now, the reality is every single membership should be designed uniquely, geared towards the personality and availability of the leader, as well as the availability of your avatar, your perfect person who would join your community. So if you know that your avatar are entrepreneurs, you can probably do an afternoon event. But if you know that they have 9 to 5s, then you might want to do most of your events in the evening. Everything should be custom. Before you go and design and start thinking about what features you want to offer your member, there is something that you have not considered that will help you to stand out amongst the crowd. And that is considering an in-person event on a regular basis. Yes, I know the world is online, but the reality is that people actually like getting together. As we just saw with COVID, like people were losing their minds because they couldn't get together. And an in-person feature is very powerful. You will stand out amongst your competitors because not a lot of people are doing it and no one wants to do it on a regular basis. But if you are a special extroverted personality type like myself, then you should consider doing an in-person event on a regular basis. Again, I want to stress this. Not all memberships need an in-person feature. Maybe it's something you do once a year. Maybe it's something you do every quarter, but not all memberships need it. There are thriving memberships that don't have it. But if you are down to do it, in this video, I'm going to cover the top 4 things you need to run a successful in-person event for your membership community. Now, before we go into it, I want to talk about something that an in-person event does that nothing else does, that makes it so powerful, is in-person events create what's called third places. This is such a powerful concept in sociology. Let me get the actual definition for you. In sociology, the third place refers to the social surroundings that are separate from the 2 usual social environments of home, which is your first place, and the workplace, which is your second place. Examples of third places include churches, cafes, bars, clubs, community centers, public libraries, gyms, bookstores, marketplaces, stoops, parks, theaters, and opera houses, among others. In his book, The Great Good Place, Ray Oldenburg argues that third places are important for civil society, democracy, civic engagement, and establishing, this is important, establishing feelings of a sense of place. This is why an in-person feature to your membership community is extremely powerful, because you provide people with a sense of place. It is a great way to establish camaraderie and really get your members to bonding. And people need places outside of work and home. Why not come down and be at your membership? This is great. Nope, you don't gotta go and join a gym. Come to my membership. Nope, you don't gotta go and take up some weird hobby. Come and join my membership and belong and feel like where you are welcome. If you can get them out in person 1 or 2 times and they see value in it, then you can probably get them out every single week. What ends up happening is their family will know that that night is your night. When husbands and wives are working out schedules to take care of the kids, okay, you know, Monday night you do this, Tuesday night I do my thing. That's my thing. What great way can you really grow your membership by establishing yourself in someone's nuclear family? You are a fixture in their nuclear family. It is a great way to grow the strength of your membership. So if I have convinced you to actually create an in-person feature, maybe weekly or every other week, let's get into the 4 key things that you need to run your membership event outside of an actual place. Okay, so the first feature. Although this is an event for your members, you need to allow non-members to come. Now you're probably scratching your head like, what? This is my membership. You need to pay to be a part of my membership and I'm giving you access. How is this making sense? Okay, hear me out. One of the things that your in-person membership will do is it will establish this mindset of us versus them. Your members will feel a sense of belonging. We talked about it. They will feel like, hey, I am in this elite community. And then your non-members, you want them to sense that as well so that they will join your community. What great way to do that than to do it in person. So you need to have an event that is for members, but non-members can join for either a fee or they can come for the first time for free. If you keep it closed off, you will not see the full benefit of this in-person event establishing this us versus them. And I don't want to say versus, but us, but not them. Us and them. Let's say us and them. This us and them mindset that is very powerful for getting people to actually join your community. So you need to have a way where you allow non-members to join. So you're going to need to have someone at the door who's checking to make sure that, hey, this person has never been here before, or they're taking in money, or, hey, members, this is free for you. But if you're not a member, maybe it's like double the monthly payment, or maybe one time the monthly payment of what your membership is. So let's say, for instance, your membership is $50 a month and they get access to every in-person event, which if you do this once a week, so that's kind of like $200 worth of value. But the non-members, hey, you got to pay $50 if you want to come one time. So they only get $50 worth of value. Something like that. You can move those numbers around. You can say, hey, if you're not a member, it's $200. If you are a member. So then now it's really like a no-brainer. Like, hey, if I pay $50, I don't got to pay $200, but you got to sign up and I need your credit card already flowing every month. You got to run that. You got to run that through the system. You can do that. There are a number of things, but you need to have this room established with members and non-members so that they can really understand it's us. We're an in crowd and y'all are not. Okay? It's kind of mean girlish, but it's not. All right, real quick. I have a checklist down below. It is your membership in-person event checklist. There are things in this checklist that's not on this video that we're talking about. So you want to make sure that you download this checklist right now so that you have it handy so that you don't mess up when you do your first in-person event. I don't want you to do an in-person event, get a venue, all that stuff, and waste your time because you did it wrong. So get this checklist, make sure you do it right. All right, this next feature is actually probably the most important. I probably should have saved it for last or maybe had it go first, but here he is. It's in my number 2. It's in my notes as my number 2, so we're going to go in. Okay, listen closely. This is massively important. Your in-person event has to have a fluid ending time. I always say this is a saying that I coined. The meeting after the meeting is the real meeting. So if you have an event, whatever you decide to do with your in-person event, there's got to be some type of talent or performance. I call it a performance. So if you have a speaker, maybe you are teaching, maybe you're doing a Q&A session, maybe you're doing a panel, whatever it is the highlight, the attraction of the event, that's the performance. That's cool. It's cute. People are going to get value from it, but the real value comes after the event, the networking, the natural networking portion that happens. You cannot force it, but the natural networking portion that happens when an event is over and people are mingling and they're meeting people and it's like, oh, I saw Keisha on the other side of the room. I haven't seen Keisha in 10 years. Let me go find out what Keisha's doing. And then Keisha's talking to Jane and then Jane is like, oh, this is my husband. He's great and he can help you out. And then now it's 10 people talking about some topic and there is actual commerce happen and people are their endorphins are up, they're getting their dopamine hits because it's like, oh my goodness, this room full of like-minded people and this is great. And they don't want to leave. And guess what? You as the event producer has to do, the leader of your community, not let them leave. Let them hang out for as long as they want. This is a third place. Remember, let them hang out. This is where they're getting their frustrations out. This is where they feel like they're actually putting a dent in their future and changing their current situation to their future. Let them be. I tested this. I have my own office space. So of course, with my own office space, we don't have to close up. I did an event at someone else's office space for quite some time and we had to leave at a certain time and the camaraderie just wasn't there. Like I just could not get it together. And so they're closing at 9 o'clock and then we all got to get out. And it's like, we just started. What are you talking about? Like our event started at 7, but the event after the event starts at 9. Okay. You want to make sure that it has a very fluid ending time. You get a space that they're not kicking you out. You at least have 2 to 3 hours after your event is over to allow people to mix and mingle. Here's the other thing. If there's 2 or 3 people that's mixing and mingling, it's just as powerful if it's 200 or 300 people that's mixing and mingling. Some people will absolutely leave. They got responsibilities. They tired. I'm not naturally a nighttime person. So if I was on somebody else's event, I'm going, sayonara. But if there's 2 or 3 people, do you know how many powerful resources I got out of the meeting after the meeting, and it's just 2 or 3 people there, just as much as if it's 200 or 300 people there. So you gotta let the meeting go on in this fluid way. And yes, guys, you can do whatever you want. This is a place where commerce is done, okay? Which brings me to my next point. The number 3 tip for running your in-person event is you have to divide your event into thirds. The last third is the meeting after the meeting. So we'll skip right to this. The meeting after the meeting. The first third is announcements. You want to make sure you have your announcements organized. Let me explain why. Your performance, right? Remember, if it's a lecture, whatever it is that you're advertising, that's just bait to get people in the room. Yes, you want to educate them. Absolutely. That's what we're here for, right? You want to educate them and help them. But that's just bait to get them in the room so that you can do 2 things. You can tell your existing members about upcoming events, because even though people are a part of your membership, they don't pay attention. So you got to jam it down their throats, okay? Hey, we have these upcoming events. Don't forget. Don't forget to mark your calendar. These are things that you need to know. Hey, maybe your membership is a part of your funnel and then there's an upsell. Hey, don't forget, we have this other upsell class, this one-on-one mentorship that I'm offering. Don't forget, this all goes in the announcements. Other thing that you need to have in your announcements, this is massively important. I know everything I say is massively important, but it really is. The other thing that you need to have in your announcements is your core values. If you have not designed your core values, you need to. You need to have something that says what we stand for. And the last thing that you want to have in the first part of the event is any awards that you want to get to any of your members. Now, the awards are important because you want to recognize people, you want to give them their flowers, absolutely. But you also want to give your other members something to aspire to. And then last but not least, remember, you got 9 members there too. So now they can salivate over what they can do as being a part of your membership. So let's say, for instance, you have a retail membership, right, where you're teaching people about setting up their online retail shops, and you give out an award to someone who did $1 million. And you're recognizing them. Or you're just saying, hey, this is member of the week. This person came to these events, this, and the other. And they just really shined in terms of putting forth effort. Your non-members get to see someone else get their flowers for doing the work that they are trying to do every day. And so now you're more establishing, like, hey, if you want to join us, maybe you'll get recognized. Don't you want to be like this person? So the next portion of the event is the performance. Only thing I have to say about the performance is make it worthwhile. It is your responsibility. People are not spending time with their kids. They're getting babysitters. They are not spending time with their spouses. They are not spending time in prayer, whatever it is that they want to do. Maybe they want to go to the movies. They're not going to the gym to come and hang out with you. So you need to make sure that whatever performance you put together, that it is of value. Speaker, panel, whatever, I don't care. You make sure that every speaker is prepped with information about how to make sure that they bring your members value. Okay? Now let's move on to the last part, which we've already talked about, is the meeting after the meeting. Hey everybody, meeting's over. You don't have to leave. We're having a grand old time. You absolutely don't have to leave. If you are a member, enjoy, network. If you're not a member, come up here and talk to me. I want to learn more about you. I also want to pitch to you the opportunity to be a member. That's what happens at the meeting after meeting. While everybody's networking, you over there working, you pitching, you do a little 10-minute pitch, give people an opportunity to become a member. If they don't, no sweat off your back, because guess what? They'll probably come 2 or 3 more times and then join then. Or you get some new members. Grand. Okay, so the last thing for running an in-person event for your membership is we're going to talk about food. I know, food is massively important. Actually, it's not. Food don't matter. It doesn't matter. Food only matters if you're doing a event 4 hours or more. You want to have food there, but it doesn't have to be gourmet. You can literally have cookies and water. I have tested this and tested it 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 and tested it. People don't care. It's a big range in which people don't care if you're doing like a 2-3 hour event. It's a big range which they don't care. They are equally as excited as they are for really good hors d'oeuvres. They are just that equally excited for cookies. It is bizarre. I remember we went through this phase where we were spending all this money on food, and then we started dwindling it back. And guess what the formula was that we got that made people comfortable? Pretzels. If you're from Philly, then you know Philly has very special pretzels. So think like, if you're not from Philly, you know what I'm talking about. This is the best way I can describe it. Think like Auntie Anne's. but it ain't onions. But not like the hard pretzels is what I'm saying. So soft pretzels and cookies and water, and that's it. And no one was complaining. They used to tear them pretzels and cookies and water up. You do not have to break the bank providing food for a 2-hour event. You just don't. Because what people tend to do is they will make an event out of your evening. And think about the times that you were like, okay, let's go to the movies. Guess what else you do? Even though it's snacks at the movies, you also gonna go to dinner. And so like, if you have an event, people will absolutely ask their girlfriends, hey, or their homies, hey, let's go to this event. Let's go get dinner. Let's go to the event. Or they'll go to the event and go get dinner afterwards. So you just got to make it so that they're not starving. And if you're really serious about eating, come get these pretzels and cookies. You can do bagels. You can do muffins. And water is just fine. If you want to give people coffee, go ahead. Feel free. But just don't overthink it. Okay. And last but not least, I actually have a bonus one for you. So we're going to talk about 4 things. But this one I've kind of already talked about. But I just want to stress the fact that the mindset that you should be having when you are doing a in-person event for your membership is that the value that people get is not the performance. The performance is really just bait to get them there. The real value that people get is the announcements and the meeting after the meeting. They don't know that though. Well, you cannot tell people that like, hey, come out and just hang out with me. Networking events are always trash when you just say it's just networking, like nothing's happening. Unless it's someone that they're known for it, but like, I'm not going to a networking event. But if you tell me that I'm going to be able to learn how to quadruple my business in 30 days, and I want to hear what somebody has to say about this, I'm there. And will I network? Absolutely. Absolutely. I will network my behind off. Okay. Keep that in mind, that the performance is the bait, but the value that people actually get is from the meeting after the meeting and the announcements, of course. That's what gets people to level up in their business. All right, leaders, don't forget, download the checklist right now so that you can run your event properly. Remember, there are things I talked about in this checklist that's not in this video. So download this checklist so you don't waste your time with your in-person event and you can maximize it so you can get as many members and retain as many members as possible. And I want y'all to have an amazing day.